Good morning. Don't look at the time. I'm gonna make this the last Japan related video and then I'm gonna go back to regular content. It's just a lot of things happened while I was in Japan and I just wanted to talk about all the cool stuff that I saw. So this is all the arcades I went to. Well, it's not all of them, but it's enough of them. A lot of these were in Kyoto because I was mainly stationed in Kyoto, but I did go to some other places that we'll get to later in the video. We're gonna start with round one, and the round ones in Japan are way better than what we have here in the States. Because in the round one in the States, it's just one area that's separated into sections. Say, this over here is rhythm, this would be fighting games, over here is bowling, billiards, and the same. This is all just one floor of the same area with different sections, alright? In the round one in Japan, they have different floors that are legit just separated by them. So on the very first floor was crane games. Above that was pachinko machines. Above that was arcade games. That was separated by genre, so racing, rhythm, fighting, etc. And then above those were the bowling, billiards, etc., etc. So immediately, this place was way cooler. This place was bigger. I'm looking on this screen over here because that's where I have visual reference. While I was here, I always went to this basketball game that they had, and it was set up in a line of 4. Every day for a couple weeks, I just kept playing basketball in the attempt to get over 100 just to, I don't know, it was just for a personal thing. So after some time, I don't know how much money I put, maybe 3,000 yen or something, 30 bucks. I put a lot into this machine. I eventually did get 106, which was enough to satisfy, because that's exactly what I wanted. This round one also has Dissidia, the arcade Final Fantasy title, an arcade machine that had Fighting EX Layer, Samsho, BB Tag, which is actually the most I put into BB Tag, which was at the round one when 2.0 just came out. That is literally the most money I put into BB Tag at all. Funny I mentioned that. Round one was cool. And as cool as it was, I didn't go there all too much because the fighting games. There weren't really that many fighting games for me to work with. So as cool as the place was, it wasn't for me. And I was only at the round one for BB Tag, so that was up until November. During that in between, where's my list? During that in between, still in Kyoto, right next to that round one was a arcade called HO. It's literal, A-CHO. That's how it's spelled, so I assume that's how it's pronounced. This place is much smaller than the round one, except it had a bunch of fighting games there. So immediately I was on board with that. What do we got? Melty Blood, one arcade cabinet that had a bunch of selections on it. So Ultimax, Akatsuki Blitz Camp, Yatagarasu, Skullgirls, etc., etc. A lot of, let's say, not mainstream titles. That's what I'll say. I'll say not mainstream. They also had a separate cabinet that was, I'll say SNK bundle, KOF 98, Mark of the Wolves, Fatal Fury, etc. There was Virtual Fighter 3, the really old Dreamcast looking one. What else? Darkstalkers, Street Fighter Alpha 3. There's a lot of fighting games here. And they also had the same sort of cabinet that had the BB Tag multi one, and another cabinet that had Guilty Gear, Dengeki Bunko, DOA 5, Phantom Breaker. This place had a lot. This place had a lot going on, and it was mainly fighting games, so I was mainly here a lot. The only drawback to being at this joint, I don't mean joint in a bad way, I just say joint. They also had Tekken. Round one had Tekken as well, but the Tekken at this HO had all the characters, all of them. It was not outdated in the slightest. The flaw about going here is that this area had a smoking area, and it was in the Tekken booth, but it wasn't closed off. It was, let's say, this is Tekken. These are the other booths, and there's no wall to split between them. So the closer you are to the Tekken booth, the closer you are to getting smoke inhaled, and if you're not into that, then you probably don't want to go to this joint at all. But I was there for the fighting games. I just wore a mask and went, alright, fighting games, cool. This next one was actually in Akihabara the one day I went there, which was enough, honestly. I looked up arcades near me, and I found a place called Hey. And that's literally it, H-E-Y, Hey. This, I believe, is better than both round 1 and HO, minus the minus the bowling and billiards and all the recreational stuff, because this had the same amount of floors dedicated to specific genres, and one floor that had just solely fighting games. And there were some that I already saw, but there were ones that stuck out that I just found interesting to find. For example, I found Virtual On here. I found Virtual On. That's an old Sega title that I suck at, but I respect fully. I found CVS 2 here as well, which I wasn't expecting. Well, I was surprised that I hadn't found earlier. That's what that means. Cause I was surprised that I hadn't found CVS 2 by this point, and this was the first place I found it, so that was interesting. And then this was also the first time I found the Fist of the North Star fighting game. I'm sorry, I'm making myself super bright. Yeah, this was the first time I found the Fist of the North Star fighting game in an arcade format, which was cool. Then there's these two games, which are on 3 different screens. I don't even know what the games are called, it's just the setup was really cool. If this place was replacing either HO or Round 1, then I definitely would have gone here the most, definitely. But we'll say the bar of what the best arcades were HO and then Round 1, and then probably everything else because it's a little far out. Next on the list, where my list at? The Taito Station. Okay, so this is in Osaka. There's another one that I went to that was called Taito Station, but I don't remember where it was exactly. This was alright. This area was the first place that I found a JoJo arcade machine, so that was cool. There was also MVC2 here as well, but other than that, there wasn't really much for me to work off of. So, as much as I would have loved to have been here, it was a bit too far out to go, and I already had the other arcades to go to. But this one was also separated in floors, but I really only cared about the floor with the fighting games. So, what can you do? It was alright. It was fine. So back to Kyoto, a place called Playland King. I found this out of nowhere, because I was literally just looking for arcades while I was in Kyoto during whatever free time I had, and I found this near the Kyoto station. This was the first place I found a Virtua Fighter 5 machine, so immediately that was cool and that was interesting. However, as well as a bunch of other games that I found, the Skullgirls cabinet, Cydia, Tekken, which was outdated but whatever, they also had a, let's say it's one of those 1001 arcade machines, and it was just loaded with various different games, but I was looking at the fighting games. So, what was it? They had Airgees, of all things. They had the first Street Fighter, they had Waku Waku 7, they had Soul Edge, which was before the original Soul Calibur. This thing was loaded with games, and they also had JoJo's there. A bunch of other fighting games, just in that one cabinet. It was around the same distance as the HO, but there was still the smoke problem. So, what can you do? And also the joysticks on those machines were kind of iffy. Maybe it's because it's been used by numerous amount of people, which can't be helped. But that place was really cool and interesting. I'm not ranking them or anything, but the ones that I commonly went to were Round 1 HO and then maybe Play King, so that's why I'm kind of just saying these are on top if and everything else was below it. Even though if I could, I can't make a ranking system right now, man. But those are at least the ones that I went to. No, I still have more. I'm just saying those ones in particular were really cool. And I'm surprised that Playland King had so much going on in that one space, because it was actually smaller than the HO. And I forgot, HO actually had a second floor that was just a bunch of rhythm games and then classic shmups. I believe there's a cabinet with Ikaruga on it, if you know what that is. A shmup, shoot 'em up, bullet hell. And then below that was Pachinko. So HO was a lot bigger than I thought, but I didn't say it because I was mainly interested in fighting games. Next one, Game Panic. Again, in Kyoto. The Game Panic, the Round 1 and HO are all pretty much right next to each other. And Playland King is actually the one that's a bit further out, because it's in an area that's just completely opposite to where the others were, and it's near the Kyoto station. opposite direction. This Game Panic is an arcade that's just next to a movie theater that we went to a lot. It's where I saw Lupin the First. What else did we see here? We saw Joker here. Joker was shown here. I think those were the only 2 movies I saw here, but I enjoyed it. First level was a bunch of crane games, and what was it? That title drum game. I saw this gold PlayStation Classic, which was interesting, but if I had sunk any amount of money into that, I'd be there all day. They also had a Sword Art Online arcade game, which looks interesting, but it's Sword Art, so no. And they also had a Kamen Rider gacha card game there, and I love Kamen Rider. If you saw the Japan Hall video, I got a lot of those cards. Not even for the game itself, it was just cool, Kamen Rider. Other than that, it was also mixed in with pachinko area. Let's see here. So this is the crane. These are all the arcade games and such. It was mixed in with pachinko. It was mixed in with fighting games. There was about 4 cabinets of it. Dissidia, Fate Go, which actually every arcade pretty much had Fate Go, or whatever that Fate game was called. I don't care. But there was a lot of arcades with that Fate game. Not that many fighting games. The only reason why I was there was just to get Kamen Rider cards. So much for that. Still in Kyoto, a place called Third Planet. This was far out. I think this is further out than the Kyoto station. I was walking by myself. I wanted to find this game, and I was happy to find it. Pokken Tournament. I found Pokken Tournament at this joint, and I found that to be interesting. Though it was pretty much the only fighting game set up besides Tekken and Street Fighter V. And I didn't bring it up, but Street Fighter V is pretty much in every arcade that I've mentioned, so I didn't bring it up. Mainly because I forgot, but that's it. I was looking for Pokken Tournament so badly, and I was happy to have found it at this place. And they also had crane games that were Kamen Rider related. It was also mixed in with pachinko. This Third Planet place was all on one floor, so it was sectioned off, but it was way bigger. It was around the size as a Round 1 that's in the States, so it was pretty big, but there weren't that many fighting games to deal with, so I didn't care all that much. They also had a pachinko machine that was related to Monogatari. Yeah, that's Monogatari. Okay, I gotta be careful when I do that. This place was cool. I really only stayed here for Pokken Tournament, and I had not come back ever since because I felt satisfied. I'd never found TVC either. I should have went and tried to search for TVC, but oh well. It can't be helped. Let's go back to Akihabara. There was a Sega. There were a bunch of different Sega locations that were right next to each other. They were okay. They were honestly just okay. It was mainly Sega titles. However, the only thing I can say was awesome about it was this one floor. It was separated into floors depending on the area, but there was this one floor filled with Virtua Fighter 5 machines. And I went, that's the place. That's the place. Other than that, wasn't really much to work off of. Because again, I mainly went to these arcades for fighting games. And if there wasn't that many fighting games to work with, I just took pictures of games that I was surprised to find, or just anything that seemed interesting enough to document. And the last one, which is way, way far out, in Sapporo. Shoot, I don't remember the other. Hokkaido, Sapporo, that area. A joint called Maxim Hero. This place was cool because it had an old Samsho machine. What's this one again? Oh, another Fist of the North Star one. And they also had a bundle SNK one that was just old Fatal Fury. I don't know if there was real bout, but there was a bunch of old Fatal Fury stuff, and then there was another Virtual On machine, except it was unlike the first one. The first one, it was just the joysticks that you move around. But if you didn't feel like doing that, they also had an arcade controller that you can use to maneuver it as if you were just playing at home. And the chair was also kind of like this sort of chair setup. So that was just interesting. It was also one floor. It was kind of small in a let's say it was the size of a mall arcade. No, 2 times the size of a mall arcade, and the amount of fighting games there were around the same as what I found in the HO. So it was cool in that regards. And I probably would be going here if I was stationed in the Sapporo area. But it was cool. It was cool. And as far as I know, that's all the documented arcades that I went to. If it's not in here, that probably means that it didn't leave enough of an impression to even talk about. But thank you for watching. This will be the last Japan-related video, unless stated otherwise. Nah, I think I'm good here. I made my 3. I had my fun. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that icon will have the other 2 Japan videos I did, or just wait until the end screen, which could be on right now. No, it's not on right now. I don't know what I'm talking about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying the content. I'll go back to gaming content next week, and then we'll get the ball rolling. We'll get the ball rolling with the return of whatever I do on this channel. Cop merch. It's not mine. It's Ignite Rizzy's cop merch. Yeah? I'll be seeing ya. I'll be seeing ya.